I don't know what's happened, but we had this amazing opening video and it stopped.
Oh,
No.
I saw the entire thing. I thought it was really nice. I'm a big fan.
Yay!
I'm a big fan.
Thank you, Lizzie. How are you?
I'm amazing, Shelly. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm really excited about this talk. So one of the things so for those of y'all, thank you for joining us. This is Slice of Pie Tipsy Tuesday, where grown folks have conversations. So do all the bells and whistles things, like, subscribe, notification bell. I can't see everyone who's in the room because we're on multiple systems. If you're here, drop us a note in the chat. With that said, as I was preparing for this reconnection with you, because for those of y'all who weren't able to watch the episode where Lizzie joined us on a Teen Thursday, it was preparing kids for school. During that call, I realized really quickly we need to have you come back and having an adulting type conversation for the ladies.
Yay, adulting! I love adulting. Woo!
This is gonna be awesome. So
I'm really excited. I mean, I'm not Ms. Berger tonight.
No,
Lisi, which is really cool, and I get to be around grown folks, and that's also very nice. And I'm really looking forward to having some really great candid conversations with you, and to continue to spread that wonderful, proud, inspired, empowered message to everybody. So I'm ready. Woo!
Y'all, I didn't pay her to say any of this. Okay, this is just the way it is. All right. So I wanted to, one of the things I was sharing before we kicked us off is recognizing. So September, for those of y'all who don't know, and you'll see this on our site and probably a lot of the communications that I send out for this entire month. September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And so I just want to drop a little nugget here that there is in the US a number for you to call. It's 988 if you are experiencing some difficulties and you cannot have conversations with your friends and family. You're looking for a confidential resource. That number again is 988. And I just want to make sure that you have access to that, and just know that we're here. As much as we can be here for you, you are not alone, okay? So today's conversation is going to be different, y'all, because I told her that I wanted to get back into, and I just wanted to hear, oh, it's okay, we love dogs.
Sorry, they're so excited.
It's okay. So we first thought about empowerment, but then we started to pull the layers back, because everybody uses the term, but quite frankly, we need to go a little bit into the weeds to help folks figure out, how do you even become empowered to make changes in your life? So I have some areas that I'm just gonna roll out, and then we're just gonna make this a conversation. Everybody in the chat, feel free to drop your comments. I was thinking about the word sacrifice. Sacrifice in the sense that if I want to achieve something, there's something that I'm gonna have to sacrifice. It might be my time, it might be my talent, it might be sacrifice in the sense that you're pouring into something and you're not seeing the rewards right away. And a lot of times people, they get burned out. I call it sacrificial burnout, where it's like, but I'm doing so much. I'm not reaping anything from this. And I just wanted to get your take on what does that mean for you? What does it mean, sacrificing, and what does that even look like for you? And do you view it the same way I do?
I think that sacrifice it's a really interesting, a really fascinating term. I think that as a teacher, I experience a tremendous amount of sacrifice. I feel like I am called upon, and my colleagues and I are called upon constantly, that we are not just, we're not just teachers. We are counselors, and we are, breaker-uppers of fights, and we are mediators, and we are confidants, and we are trusted adults. And, I feel like I wear 1,000 different hats, and, I feel like that, that really translates very significantly, into real life. That, I know that you are a mother, a wife, a professional, and you have so many different things. And, an exercise that I like to do with my students, and even more with grownups, as I like to say, grab a piece of paper and write your name, and then, you know, put little spokes like a wheel and tell me all the different words that make up who you are. And
Wow.
it's wonderful to see that, and for people to, you know, I have a lot of friends who, you know, who are parents, and they feel like they are always, you know, they put parent in there, and they put all their different familial relations, and then they put their professions, and then sometimes the interests. And I say, well, which one, you know, which of those hats is the most meaningful to you, or which one is the most important? And I almost by default, I see a lot of parents go straight to that parent label.
Yeah.
And you know, it's interesting. And you know, my husband and I have chosen to be child free. We have chosen not to be parents. So looking in, you know, I see parents that sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice. And sometimes I worry about that. Sometimes I worry that people have given up every other element of their identity in order to
Yeah.
be a parent. And understand, all my parents out there, I love you.
Yeah.
This is a great hat to wear.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's necessarily fair to you as a human being,
Yeah.
you know, that always comes first. And it's tricky. I mean, I'm certainly not saying, well, you know, you don't be a parent, you know, and or go, you know, go to your, you know, go to bar class, or, you know, go to this, that, and the other, ignore being a parent. I'm not saying that. But I think that in terms of sacrifice, I think that it's really critical for people to make sure that when they sacrifice, they're not giving up everything to wear one hat. And not even just the parenting hat, but I think that one is certainly the one that comes up a lot in conversation, is that, you know, how does it feel to be the default parent? And, you know, when you, come on, baby, when you're the one that always picks up the kids, or when they're sick, are you the one that constantly, you know, drops everything and rushes to school? I mean, that's got to be challenging. And I want to make sure that people are, I think from that sacrifice, it sort of leads me into the topic of, are you happy with the relationships that you've built, that you're taking care of yourself, as well as being able to say, here's what I need. You know, I need to value this. I need you to value this, and I need help here. And, you know, it kind of goes into partnerships and things like that, which is, you know, a topic I'm sure we'll get to later. But, you know, sacrifice, I feel like we give up a lot, and a lot of times we sacrifice for the benefit of others. And that's, I think that's great. And I think that's valuable, but I think we should also really remember that within that sacrifice, we have to take care of ourselves, you know, and not just, you know, throwing out the term self-care where you want to smack somebody. Oh yeah, I've got, you know, I've got 4 people that are depending on me. I've got laundry, and I've got dishes, and I've got errands, and I've got so many things going on. So, you know, take your self-care and put it where the sun doesn't shine. Like, I know sometimes it seems a little empty. I feel like sometimes the words come off as empty, and I don't want them to sound empty. I want to encourage everybody today who's watching, you are worthy of having the world sacrifice a little bit for you, the way you sacrifice for the rest of the world. You deserve that. You are worthy of that.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I think that I love that point you made about parents. That's one of the things that I never wanted to be lost in parenthood, or lost in, you know, the identity as a wife. I was Shelly before, I'm Shelly during, and I will be Shelly after, you know? So I love that point. And a lot of times, you know, when I think about sacrifice, you know, people tend to become bitter because they're not getting the rewards from that sacrifice. So look at all the things I've done for these kids, and they're not doing X. Look at all the things I've done for my husband, and he's not doing Y, right?
Agreed.
You know,
Agreed.
We assign values to that.
Well, and I think that it comes to, I think, a really important, you know, point to make tonight, and it goes in so nicely with, you know, when we talk about suicide awareness and suicide prevention, is we must communicate.
Yeah.
We have to communicate. We have to open our mouths and speak. We have to put pen to paper and express what we're thinking and feeling. We have to, you know, we have to do these things, and it's hard to do. It is not it's not an easy task to be a good communicator. And I think that's, you know, I think that's one of the reasons that I value so much the relationship that my husband and I have built and are continuing to, grow with, is that we are great communicators, and that is work. I mean, to be able to
Yeah.
look him in the eyes and say, I'm really frustrated with you today because you did this. And knowing that I'm risking him maybe being upset or having hurt
Yeah.
feelings, or, maybe that, there could be a reaction. I have to be okay with that risk. We all have to be okay with that risk. And that's hard to do, to look at the people in our lives and that matter the most to us, and to say, at this moment, I'm not getting what I need, or at this moment, you did something to hurt my feelings, or at this moment, I'm really unhappy. That's huge. I mean, is that easy
Yeah.
for you to do, Shelley, with the people in your
No,
life?
I mean, sometimes it's in the delivery, because I'm Indian, and sometimes there are no words where I'm just like shocked into, I can't believe you hurt my feelings. And so even measuring the way you communicate, it is in the response. So for me, a lot of times the way I respond when I'm hurt is through laughter. I laugh a lot. And so thankfully, the folks who are closest to me know that, the way that I'm saying something, they'll pick up, she's upset, or she's hurt. So it's not like a jigsaw puzzle where you got to figure out where I stand, or I'll just say, that wasn't cool, or did you really mean that? Or, and also extending some grace, right? Because, as much as, I don't, and again, I think your point is so, incredible about communicating. It is very tough. So my husband and I have been married we're in our 22nd year of marriage, and there's some things that we just don't have to say, because it's like, it's just like baked in, like, okay, she's not okay with this, or he's not going to like this. I'm not even going to bother. Let's not do that. It's kind of baked into that model that we've created, and how we respond to each other, and respecting that. But it still goes back to, there are sacrifices that are made that, sometimes the balance isn't there. So a lot of women, we carry more of the nurturing aspects, a lot of us, right? To the point of the kid pickup, drop off. And I mean, I don't expect my husband to figure out what the lunch schedule is like at school. and I'm proud of that. Like, that is something that's like, oh, I got this. Like, this is how I'm gonna, this is how I take care of the family. But communication is so important, regardless. So that's something. Another thing that you mentioned, and you talked about communication, is whether you're speaking it or whether you're writing it. So I definitely encourage you, if you're in a relationship, for those of y'all who are watching the replay, if you're in a relationship, and communication doesn't come easily, obviously I recommend that you go and, talk to someone, couple counseling, therapy, there's so many resources. But there's also another avenue where you can journal and write some things out. Sometimes I find that if I write something out, then that, immediate emotion is gone. The writing, I'm realizing, like, this really doesn't make any sense. So,
right. And I think that, I think it's important to kind of recognize that, stop growling, stop. Jay, call the dog. I think that it's really important to acknowledge that when it's people that are important to us, that can be really challenging.
Yeah.
And once I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I think one of the things that's most challenging about relationships is that when it's someone that matters to you, and our spouses, we have this really strong connection with them, and you've got 22 years, I'm going on number 4. But recently I've been thinking a lot about the relationships I have with some of my closest friends, and how challenging it can be sometimes to be candid and to be honest with those people that we love, because it's easy when things are good, things are really good, and it's so easy to agree, and oh yes, and you're right, and this, that, the other. But when you're struggling and when there's something wrong, to sit down and to really say, I want to talk with you about this isn't working, is terrifying. It's really, really hard. But speaking from personal experience, it's worth it. I mean, I really believe that we are all worthy of having those good, clear the air occasions, and being able to move forward, even, in a better place. And, I think that keeps us from being, I think sometimes we develop sort of toxicity in our friendships where if I can't look at you and say what the problem is, I'm turning to somebody else nearby and I'm going to complain about it. And I'm going to complain about you. And I'm going to have a lot to say. And then you feel that, you feel that kind of roll through you, and you feel that impact. And then suddenly you're looking at the person that you at one point really, really liked. And now you look at them and you're irritated and it's not fair.
And they don't know why.
They have no clue why. And like, they just know that something has changed and it's like, so I really advocate, this is why I am Lisi, the candid diva, because we all deserve to speak to people with candor, to be spoken to with candor. And I mean, I think that matters. I think that really, that matters in the grand scheme of things. So
I love that. That is awesome. All right.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. So now I wanted to ask about determination. And I think another word that folks use is grit, but just determination to make it to X or to reach your goal or not to do something. I'm determined not to make the mistake I made before. What are your thoughts around determination? And especially when we think about women and kind of building our power seats, being determined.
I think we have to allow ourselves, I think we have to allow ourselves permission to aggressively, passionately, mindfully, willfully go after things and give it everything we've got. I mean, when you think about when we were little kids, we go running down the street, with a fake cape on, and we'd run and we were convinced we could fly, and we were convinced we could do all these things. And there was no one who could tell us anything, there was no other answer. It was simply, oh, yes, I will. And yes, I can. And, you know what that reminds me of? It's such a dated reference, but, the movie Love Actually, a couple years ago.
I love that movie.
I love that movie. And, I love that at one point, Emma Thompson's child says to her, she's so excited because they've given out the parts for the nativity play, and she is going to be the lobster. And her mother looks at her and she says, you're going to be the lobster. And she says, yes, first lobster. And her mother says, so there was more than one lobster present at the birth of Jesus Christ. And the kid is like, duh. I mean, you could not argue with this child. You couldn't do it. And I love that. And I think that actually speaks a lot to that determination that this is going to be great, and I'm going to make it great, and I'm going to put my effort and energy into it. And I think that, as human beings, we need to remind ourselves that we can have that grit, that we don't have to approach it tentatively, that, well, I'll see how it goes. And maybe if I can do it, maybe if I can make it work, maybe we'll see. I mean, I know we've got a lot going on. We've got commitments, and we've got so much that's expected us, and we're wearing so many hats and juggling so many chainsaws. But I think grit, whatever our currency is for that grit, let's not be afraid of it. I think that's why so many different fitness studios, I love working at Club Pilates in the Forum. Little shout out to my club. But we always say to people, commit to 3 months. Give us 3 months. Don't just give us a class. Don't just give us a week. Give us 3 months, and let's see what we can do. Let's see if being here changes your body, changes your mind, changes your heart, because I know what we can do, and I believe that it will. But I want you to commit to that 3 months. And, I feel like we have, oh, thank you. I feel like, and there was light. But I feel like we should find that. I think that comes, with our determination, is we need to really decide, what do I want? And I'm going to go after it.
I love that. I love that. And I'm all about, I think folks, y'all should know about, I'm all about that spirit, that determination. So what about, when we talk about courage, what does that bring up for you? The courage to do?
I mean, courage is tricky. Courage means, I think as a child, courage was the knight who slayed the dragon, and it was the person who stood up and was very visible. But, I believe in these days, I believe that there's quiet courage. I believe that there is, sitting beside someone who's having a rough time and just letting them know by your proximity that you're there. I think when someone says something nasty to you, to look them in the eyes and say, I am not okay with the way you just spoke to me.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do that. That's courageous. I think when you see something wrong out in the world, and again, gosh, we live in a time when there's such great risk to be a witness and to open your mouth. I mean, we hear about awful things happening to people when they get involved, and I still think it's courageous, though. I still believe so strongly that courage is showing up. Courage is being there, is defending those that are weaker, is, Holocaust Remembrance Day is coming up later in January. And, I think of so many brave souls that perished, and they were courageous. They lived their lives in the way that they were forced to live them, but they never gave up, and they never allowed the evil forces around them to win. And I feel like there's such bravery and courage in the world, and we just have to allow ourselves to see it. I mean, thinking about the people in Uvalde, and thinking about people who, I mean, there's so many different examples. And I suppose, wouldn't it be great if we all took a moment to acknowledge courage, great courage, whether it's, noticeable and loud and gigantic and making a big, splash, or it's small and quiet and dignified. I think it, maybe that's what we need to do for our moment of gratitude every now and again, is to stop for a moment and think about the courage that you display. Think about the courage that other people display, or the courage that you've heard about. And I mean, I know I'm certainly lifted up by that. I know that certainly motivates me to want to, continue to be present and be a voice and be an agent of change. And I mean, I feel like courage is all around us, and I feel like it really can be transformative and inspiring, and it can be a part of our lives.
Oh, I love that. And you, to me, are one of the most courageous women, which is why I keep bringing you back. It's like I just got to keep getting more. I mean, that statement about maybe it's the everyday courage, like, because again, it feels like in the society where we are, if it's not splashed on television or social media, it doesn't get noticed or recognized. But I watch teens. I love kids. They're just my heart. And I watch teens just in the way that they communicate and share, and they're open despite everything, and how courageous they are when they're standing up for each other. And I wish that we would spend more time, celebrating those moments with our kids. I'm so proud. You know what I mean?
You're not wrong. And it's funny you say that. This year, when I started this year, teaching 7th grade social studies, one of the skills that I taught every single member of all of my classes, and I team teach with a really terrific person, and we taught everybody, here is what you say when someone speaks to you in a way that is not okay. If somebody calls you a name, if someone uses a tone of voice you don't like, if someone is disrespectful, because, I think that our children need to know very specifically what to do. We can't just say, well, stand up for yourself. What does that mean? Tell me the word, like, give me a good example. Give me, tell me. And so I acted it out right there in class. I said, I was like, if I'm not getting what I need from this, I'm going to look at it and say, my name is Lisi, and you're going to call me Lisi, or you're not going to speak to me at all. Okay. And I'm watching some of my kids just with these big wide eyes going, I could do that.
Yeah, they're like, that's how you do it. Oh, that's how you. We need that for grown-ups, by the way. I keep pushing.
We do.
I keep pushing you to do coaching, but we need that for grown-ups.
Well, we do, and I think that's another point to really make right now, is that we may not be in charge of how people speak to us, but you be damn sure I'm going to let you know if you don't speak to me the right way. And yes, that is terrifying when you have a boss or a supervisor that is speaking to you in a way that is not okay. I mean, I encourage everybody, if you are having experiences with someone in a power position above you, get your phone, press record, and just hold it right there. just
Oh,
hold
yeah.
it right there. And if someone out, are you, yeah, well, I'm working on, I'm working on expressing myself clearly. I'm working on empowerment. I'm working on being able to say what I mean. And right now you're speaking to me at such a loud volume that, I'm uncomfortable. Can we
Yeah.
I'd like you to back that down and let's continue this conversation.
I just say, listen, my blood pressure medicine is about to kick in. So
Well,
thank you. Hi,
sometimes
Jennifer.
people, I don't think they realize it, Shelley.
Yeah.
I think that, I had to remind someone, I was like, you are 6'2" and you outweigh me by 40 pounds and you are towering over me right now and you were shouting at me and it is not okay. The way you're speaking to me right now is not all right. And then I try very hard to stop and let them take a moment. And you know what? Maybe it'll be a hot dumpster fire train wreck, but maybe they'll take a breath and they'll say, okay. And they'll collect themselves and keep going. But we have the right to say that. We have the right to stand up for ourselves, to be courageous in that simple moment. And I mean, yeah, Jennifer, you're right. I mean, courage is really tricky.
It is tricky.
We have the responsibility to ourselves and our well-being to at least try to be able to say, the way you're speaking to me right now feels aggressive and threatening. I'd like you to stop.
Yeah, I love that.
Or, you know what? Right now, you are towering over me. You are getting very close to me. You're making me feel unsafe and uncomfortable. Put your hands up. This is a physical, see, I'm sending you a very physical sign right now, world, that I am this is a submissive position. I am saying I do not feel safe right now. And sometimes, again, with people who they get on a roll and they're just
it triggers.
Yeah. And so we need to say, you are making me feel unsafe right now. Please stop. You are screaming at me. Please stop. I'm sorry. Stop. Not even I'm sorry. See, that's my default, is I want to apologize when I've done nothing wrong. But excuse me, you are making me feel unsafe right now. And we have to be okay with saying that, with opening our mouths and standing up for ourselves in that moment. And it's so hard.
It is, but we have to train ourselves. For me, I tend to go quieter the angrier I get. So if I get really quiet, it's not good. It means I've checked out and I'm gone already. But yeah, I love the action item of literally using the physical to just sometimes
and back yourself away
and back away.
Get up. I'm sorry. Yeah. Right now, you are making me feel uncomfortable and unsafe. I need this to stop.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love that.
Because what is the response going to be? No, I'm not. I mean, it's when confronted with that. And again, I'm not, I'm certainly not advocating, okay, well, if that ever happens, go to HR. But we do often have steps that we can take, whether within the confines of our organization or, a lot of people take to social media and they make a social media post of, here is what happened to me today. And you and I have talked about social media, how some days I'm just not a huge fan, but I mean, this is sometimes we need, others to hear what we're doing. We can, it's not necessarily the validation from strangers, but it's the affirmation of, you know what, you had every right to feel uncomfortable. You had every right to open your mouth and say, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
We deserve that. We deserve that.
And you're not crazy. You're not crazy. So, I want to touch on relationships, but I'm going to shift to quiet period. So, for me, there is a particular time, and I'm not sure. It's not a time of year, but there's a particular time where I call it my quiet period, and sometimes I call it a drought. But there's a particular time when I know I'm being forced to go inside and say less and listen more. And because I'm very spiritual, so I'm waiting for some kind of prompting or something that is speaking to me differently. And I wonder if you experience those quiet periods, or how do you like?
According to my husband, I never have quiet periods.
Like, no.
It was part of our marriage vows when I said to him, it'll be fun, it'll be crazy, but it'll be a lot of things, but it will never be quiet.
We are always
I think that we all have those periods of sort of, that introspection and that sort of, let me, I think of it almost as a bit of like a cocoon where I want to
Yes.
wrap around me,
Yes.
a lot of my experiences, and I want to take and surround myself in the good, the bad, the ugly, the otherwise, and I want to decide, how do I want to emerge from this? What am I when I take all these things in, what did I like? What did I not like? And I think this all syncs so nicely with the Jewish calendar. There's a wonderful holiday coming up called Yom Kippur, and it is the Day of Atonement, and it is for those of y'all that have friends who identify as Jewish, it is like the Super Bowl holiday. We have Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, and 10 days later we have Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and it's wonderful because we get to spend the entire day in prayer, in reflection, really wrapped in that cocoon of what was this past year like for me, and what worked for me and what didn't work for me, and what changes do I want to make in my life, and what did I really like, and I want to keep going with that, and am I happy with the people, my circle? We talked about our circle the last time, and do I like the people that are taking up space in my circle? Is there anyone that I feel like needs to move on? Is there anyone that I would like to invite in? And I love Yom Kippur because I take that holiday so seriously, and it's one of the few times where I truly feel like I can turn off everything else going on and just reflect on life and what I need and what's happening. And I don't think I should, I don't think any of us should wait an entire year to have that. I feel like we should, have that moment of reflection more frequently. And whether that's a daily moment of reflection or weekly or monthly, or, occasionally sit down with your coach, sit down with your friend and say, can I throw some stuff out? Let's throw some things on the wall and see what sticks, and let's see what falls off. And, again, sometimes it's nice to just have another human being in the room, even just listening to you say, well, that is a good point. Yeah. I mean, that's wonderful about some of the relationships that we have, when I don't necessarily need advice. I don't necessarily need you to fix anything. I need to say words out loud, and I need you just to validate that you hear them. And again, I'm married to the greatest person in the world because he's very good at that. He can let me just, and sometimes I know that must be what it sounds like, because I'm just word vomiting, and I'm word vomiting, and he'll just, and I was like, well, and he's like, those all sound like important things that you're saying. And it's like, I love you. Crazy.
You get, I mean, I definitely encourage folks, if you're in that moment, it is not, I had to correct a friend of mine. I say friend loosely. She's more of an acquaintance of mine. She hasn't been through when I go through the quiet period, but I had to correct her because she asked me, do you feel depressed? Are you sad? I was like, no. There's just a period of time for me that I have to use this quiet time, and it allows me to step all the way back. So I'm looking at it, my eagle view, my eagle eyes. That's what I'm using during the quiet period, because I'm taking that stance, and I'm surveying everything. I'm surveying work, life, like all of these different areas, and seeing, okay, to your point, what's not working, or what I'm not hearing myself, because sometimes for me, things are too loud meaning there's too much input, or there's too much, there's just too much. So I have to, remove myself so I can figure out what exactly I need to refocus and what I need to let go.
And how lovely that your friend noticed, and I mean, I love that she reached out to you in a place of concern that, are you okay? And you were able to say, I am. This is actually, what I'm doing. But how lovely that she was so tuned in. That she wanted to, check on you. I mean, I think that's so great, again, to have somebody in your circle as an acquaintance like that was just paying attention enough to say, I care about you, and I'm going to ask you this. And I'm not, I'm sure there was probably a little part of this, like, I hope this doesn't sound insensitive or prying or pushy. And you know what? I'm going to say it. I think that there is no problem with doing that first push. I mean, I think Salt and Pepper had it right. Push it real good. But, you know, I think that pushy comes from, you know, when a person won't stop. But
Yeah.
I love that, you know, I opened the door with someone that, again, is not a great friend of mine, but I just shot her a text the other day and I said, you know, I care about you and I'm glad you're in my life. And I don't know what's going on right now, but I feel like something is going on. And I just wanted you to know that you're Ace's kid and I love you. And if there's anything you need, I'm right here. And I didn't expect a response. And I didn't pester with a bunch of, you know, what's going on? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Is it this? Is it that? I just wanted to, you know, throw out that flare of, hey, I'm a person in your life that cares about you. And I just wanted to remind you of that. So don't be, don't be afraid to do that, y'all. Reach out to those people in your life, shoot them a text, even if it's just, you know, I was thinking about you and I'm glad you're a part of my life. And, you know, I was thinking of you. It doesn't have to be, hey, let's get together. Let's get lunch. Let's have a long conversation. It can simply be, you matter to me. And I just wanted you to know I was thinking of you. Doesn't that feel so great to do that?
It feels amazing. It feels amazing. So, you know, someone did that to me today. I'm going to drop her name is Donna Stokes. She's a senior vice president. She is amazing. I'm going to like tag her on this afterwards because you know, what she did was she came onto a call and before we went into the discussion, she shared something about the impact that I was making. And man, it felt so great because again, I'm in my quiet period means I don't even hear, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't hear anything.
Believe me, I do.
She penetrated it and it was at the perfect moment and exactly when I needed it. And she doesn't know because we're not in the friend circle, nothing like that. It's just, I was open to receive and it was there. I received it. I thanked her. And so I'm going to give a huge shout out to Donna Stokes because you are stellar in my book. Just a really strong, courageous, extremely talented, leader. And I really appreciate you giving me the feedback you gave today because I needed it. And I didn't realize I needed it until afterwards. Damn it, I needed that. And then she put it out. And
that's so awesome. That's great.
Yeah. So highly encourage, to your point, highly encourage everybody again, whether you're here live, you're watching the replay 10 years from now, okay, because it's still going to be around. Make sure, those little moments, those little thank yous, those little I'm so proud, those little, strong friend checking in, just those little things that,
it's the little things.
It's the little things.
It's the little things. That is it's not the big things. I feel like television has done us wrong. It's not these massive grand gestures. No. It's these little tiny things that all together, you drop the pebbles and it's these little tiny things all together that make such a huge impact. But let's hear it for little.
Little.
Go little, right?
Yeah, because that little was powerful, and man, let's keep doing that. Imagine if you just want, oh gosh, once a day you say something nice to somebody, you just never know who's like.
Let's embrace the little. Let's embrace the little. You know what? Let's embrace the little. I like it.
Oh, I love that. So now
Kelly and Lisi starting a brand new trend. Woo!
Yes, we are. By the way, y'all heard it here first. We're gonna start a whole new show. Y'all, we've come down to our 40-minute mark, and I usually cut the call at 40 minutes because I realize it's also dinner time. And I didn't get to ask you everything. What is going on? Well,
I suppose I'll simply have to come back. Maybe
you have to come back.
I would love to come be a guest in the fall because I would love to tell everybody about a couple of really, kind of great ideas that I've had brewing around. And, Candor is Caring is certainly one that I always like to use. But, let's continue to talk about relationships. Let's continue to prioritize ourselves and value ourselves. And, something, a little something to look forward to. I think my grandmother once told me, when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. And I love that. I've been thinking about it lately, and some friends of mine and I have sort of taken that sentiment and wrapped it up and redesigned it and spruced it a little bit. And we are now calling it Squeeze the Day. Isn't Is that not amazing? I love
You got to
squeeze the day.
trademark that. Don't nobody on this channel try to take this idea.
Yep,
Please go
squeeze
ahead
the
and try
day.
to
I'm
trademark it.
claiming it. I'm keeping it. It's
Yes.
awesome. It's wonderful.
That
I've
is
been,
great.
some of my close friends at work, we've been really embracing this, that as things get, more challenging and difficult, and as life, hands us lemons at times, I'm going to squeeze this day. I'm going to make something fabulous. I'm going to make my mark. And if I fall flat on my face and bust my lip and my nose bleeds, I will get up. I will dust myself off. I will flip my hair and I will move forward. I will persevere. I will courageously keep going. But that will be for another conversation. That'll be what we do. We'll get everybody to come back. We'll have another conversation.
That is perfect. Oh my God. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for coming back. And again, we'll work on scheduling to get you to come back.
Thank you for having me. And everybody out there, thank you so much for being here, for being a part of Shelly's amazing, broadcast. And I take something from here, something that works, and pull it into your life. And then the next time we all get together, we'll figure it out. Because this is a great lady right here. This is somebody who makes me proud and inspired and empowered. And I love that I get to be on here and be a part of things too. So thank you so much for letting me come be a part of Tipsy Tuesday. It was my pleasure to be here. I got nothing for love for everybody. Thank you.
Oh, she's going to make me cry. Darn it.
Oh, and can I give a quick shout out to my parents, Barbara and David Furman. It is their anniversary today. They're in St. Louis. I love you both so much. You have raised an incredible human being. I would be nothing without you. And I love you so much. And happy anniversary, Mom and Dad.
Oh, I love that. Happy anniversary. You made a beautiful daughter. Dad, I had to throw that in there to make sure you got the little.
Nothing but love. Nothing but love.
Yeah, nothing but love. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys. So we're gonna end it here. I'm gonna try to roll this outro. Y'all just bear with me. I'm very proud of the little work that we did. So please make sure you love this video so we can keep coming back. We'll let you know when we can bring our guest back to join us. And with that, we're gonna tell them deuces, and we're gonna hang out in the back for a couple of minutes. So I'm gonna hit the outro. Let's see if this works. Thanks everybody for watching.